This is Julianne Condia, host of Rewritten. Thank you so much for listening to the following broadcast on Public House Media.
In a world where everyone is entitled to their own opinion, and life as we know it revolves around social media. Here to humble down those social media addicts who believe in all things through the internet. It's time for a reality check. Hey, welcome back to Reality Check, giving you your weekly dose of reality. This week we have Charlie Kudy, a recent graduate from the University of Wisconsin-Whitewater, here to discuss things all COVID-19 related, post-graduation, trying to find jobs in the state of Wisconsin, as well as his emotions and feelings towards his graduation canceled. Here today on Reality Check, we have Charlie Kudy, a new graduate from the University of Wisconsin-Whitewater. Thank you for joining us today, Charlie.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me, Kat.
So as a new graduate in the midst of the COVID-19 pandemic, you graduated this last spring in the midst of the uproar of chaos that COVID-19 caused. Especially in the state of Wisconsin, the University of Wisconsin-Whitewater decided to postpone their graduation or have a possible virtual graduation. What are your current emotions on that, and how did you handle the announcement?
Yeah, so initially I was pretty I understood why they were postponing everything, and I was like all gung-ho for kind of like going back and like actually crossing the stage. It's like that kind of that sense of closure that you're looking for as well. I mean, that's something physical that you're doing where it kind of signifies like, oh, I put in, these 4 hard years of work. Here I am crossing the stage, getting my little diploma holder, shaking hands with the chancellor and all that, right? But we unfortunately didn't get that, and I don't know if like at this point in time it would be worth it to go back and kind of do another in-person graduation, say like if they wanted to do it at like around homecoming. I feel like that's just a very certain time and place in your life, and by the time they want to do it, you're already kind of moving on and developing your own career. So it wouldn't be the same as if they were to hold it in May. So
also, from my understanding, as we went to school together, that it was the last portion of your senior year. You had a lot of plans set in mind, and then pretty much everything got canceled. How were your emotions, and how did you handle the initial announcement when the statement came out from Chancellor Watson, who is the chancellor at the University of Wisconsin-Whitewater, who stated that the university was essentially shutting down?
Yeah, so I was kind of excited initially, just kind of like to get a break from going to school for so long, and for 4 years, you're kind of burnt out. And I was also heavily involved in all my 4 years. And so it's like, cool, like a 3-week break. Like, that's awesome. We'll come back online for like 2 or 3 weeks. Then we'll come back, finish the rest of the year in person, and everything will be good. Obviously, it didn't turn out that way. And so I found myself kind of in a rut, waking up every day super late, kind of half-assing school and not really like putting my all into it the last semester. But luckily, the way I structured how I was completing all my courses, all of my main finance courses and everything that pertained to my major, I had done like in fall semester or in previous years. So this semester was a lot of just general education credits that I was and lower level classes that I was able to kind of, easily do online.
But what exactly were your emotions the moment that there was a statement saying essentially your senior year is over with and everything switched to online? Because for those that are listening, the University of Wisconsin-Whitewater made a statement saying that there would be 3 weeks off of school for the month of March, and then we'd be returning upon April after spring break. And then later there was a statement, not even a week later, saying that the university would not be returning to school. And essentially, that's just the end of college careers for many seniors and many people who have had dedicated years and years to the university for their undergraduate, master degree, or whatever it may be. How was your true emotions when you found out that this essentially was just the end of your college career?
Definitely felt a little gypped, but I'm also pretty lucky that a lot of my friends just kind of stayed on campus and lived on campus as well. And so I only live about 45 minutes away from the campus, so I could go back on the weekends and still see them. I think a big part of my college experience and kind of finishing up that last semester for me was being able to like make those memories with my friends. And we did get to do that, but it was just kind of in a different way. It wasn't the typical going out to the bars, going out on your graduation day, this, that, the other thing. So I definitely am sad that I missed out on that. But it was definitely a memorable last semester too. So I guess I'm kind of neutral about it, but definitely disappointed that I didn't get the quote unquote normal college memories out of it.
So since you are a newly graduate of the University of Wisconsin-Whitewater, congratulations,
Yes.
by the way. And what is your major?
Finance with an emphasis in real estate, or a bachelor's of business administration.
Congratulations on that behalf. Well, my question for you is, how has job hunting after this? I know that a lot of individuals in the state of Wisconsin have been having a hard time seeking jobs, especially within the state of Wisconsin, Illinois, or Midwest. So being in the finance major and finance realm, how difficult has it been finding a post-graduation career set and forth?
For me specifically, it's been pretty difficult, just because of the way in which I kind of structured the internships in which I had. So the internships that I had were out in California for 2 years. And so I was kind of already banking on them being able to give me an offer and go out that way, and not really have to worry about it. Where a lot of finance students, what they do is they'll apply for different rotational analyst positions about a year before graduation. So it's all lined up. So a lot of my friends that did that were secure in their positions and able to keep that. But unfortunately, the company I worked for laid off about half of my department. So that kind of set me back to look from scratch. So I'm still currently looking for employment. However, I have some promising interviews coming up within the next week or two that I'm rather optimistic about. Things are kind of adjusting to this post-COVID society, and kind of figuring out what our new normal is, because it's not going to be like it was before. But we have to eventually return to the working world. People have to get back into the swing of things. And so I think that's kind of what we're figuring out right now. So it's been difficult, but I've remained optimistic through it all. I've had at least 2 or 3 interviews each month. It's just a matter of fact of companies kind of knowing what they're going to be doing, what their budgets are going to be like. So, yeah.
So living in Waukesha County, as you do now,
Yes.
And being familiar with everything that's going on in Milwaukee, Milwaukee has one of the highest poverty rates as well as the highest unemployment rate as of right now in the state of Wisconsin during this pandemic. And recently, Governor Evers for the state of Wisconsin came out with a mask mandating order. There is even possibilities of having a rumored no in-person class mandation for an executive order from him as well, possibly coming out next week. Milwaukee public school system is truly affected by this. What are your beliefs on in-person classes? How will this affect Milwaukee County? How will this affect your Waukesha County school districts? What are your kind of feelings on this?
So here in Waukesha County, I specifically live in Muskego, Wisconsin. And so our school district is the Muskego-Norway School District. And they're still doing in-person and enrollment with a virtual option if need be. And they're taking all the necessary precautions at the schools, like different air and surface mitigation that are in line with all the CDC things, different signage, hand washing stations, sanitizing stations, social distancing, etc., which I think is super beneficial for students to be able to be in that social interaction setting in a school, especially for younger students who are still forming kind of their social skills, especially in elementary level. But I also think it's important to have that virtual option if a family isn't comfortable and is able to keep their kids at home and virtually school them. I think that's important as well. Specifically for the city of Milwaukee, their public schools offer a lot of different services to the students that go there, such as different meal programs for lesser fortunate students, different after school care, et cetera, for parents that might have to work 2-3 jobs. So it'll be interesting to see how MPS and the city of Milwaukee kind of goes about this as well. I know that a lot of parochial schools, I can think of about 5 off the top of my head, are building new wings, new schools, or adding new campuses because a lot of parents are pulling their students out of Milwaukee public schools and using the charter system in order to get vouchers to send their kids to schools that are going to be in person. So it's really just shifting the balance of students from those public schools into those private and charter schools because those parents are willing to send their kids to public schools. I was reading an article the other day and talking to my family about it and my mom's a former educator. So in her circles and stuff like that, some teachers and professionals are worried that by pulling younger students out of that social formation setting, that they're setting the kids back, in their education almost to where they were a year ago, and same with their social setting. So I think it is more detrimental to the kids not to be in school when they're just at home. But I definitely think safety precautions need to be taken and things like that as well.
Thank you for joining us today on Reality Check. I greatly appreciate getting some insight, especially from your Waukesha, Milwaukee County, as well as the insight of someone who has graduated from a university that essentially shut down in the midst of a ending of a college career and an ending of an experience. So thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for tuning in today on Reality Check and getting your weekly dose of reality. I'm Catherine Smith, your host. If you enjoyed today's episode, please leave us a rating and review on Apple Podcasts. We appreciate you listening to Reality Check. For even more content, follow us on social media at Reality Check Blog. To stay more engaged and get your topics covered on Reality Check, or maybe even your story, using the hashtag Reality Check. Reality Check is an official production of Public House Media.